All right, let's go next to Kentucky and Tennessee. And these teams are meeting in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, 7:39 p.m. Eastern tip. And as of late Wednesday morning, we have most books listing Tennessee as a 4.5-point favorite. There's a couple of offshores with a total of 144, but most of the Vegas books are 144.5, and there's a 145 at South Point. If you like Kentucky to win outright on the money line, anywhere from plus 160 to plus 175. You can get plus 175 with our good friends at the Westgate Superbook, Jay Cornegay and company, and Circa also has plus 175. As for the first half, we have the Vols minus 2.5 with a total of 68 at most books. And I've got plenty of stats for us that I'll rip off a few of them before we get Jay's take. First off, we've got Kentucky 24-11 straight up, 18-16-1 against the spread. In their last 6, they're 5-1 straight up, 4-2 ATS. They beat Illinois 84-75 last week as a 2.5-point dog. That went under 167. And they, let's see, in this rivalry, they have won 3 in a row and 5 of 6, both straight up and ATS. This year, on January 28th, they went to Tennessee as a 10.5-point dog, and they won 78-73, and the 151 combined points went over 145.5. And then on February 11th, the Cats beat the Vols 75-64 at home as a 3.5-point dog, and that went under 146. Kentucky has played 10 games against teams that are in the Sweet 16. They are 4-6 in those games, whereas and Tennessee is also 4-6 in 10 games against teams that are still alive. Tennessee 29-7 straight up, 18-17-1 ATS. Overall in their totals, they are 20-16 to the under. They beat Wofford by 15, a non-cover last week as an 18.5-point favorite. They did cover against UCLA as 5-point favorite, 67-58 win. It went under 132.5. Since February 1st, the Vols are 12-3 straight up. And yeah, there we go. What are you thinking here on Vols and Cats?
Well, I mean, I think it's a contrast of two strengths. Rick Barnes preaches a relentless and tireless defensive effort, and Tennessee does that. I mean, Tennessee is right there with Houston on the short list of, in every metric and analytic, defensive number that you could possibly want. And that's great. But Kentucky has found ways to find success against Rick Barnes' defense. Conversely, Kentucky is known, and Mark Pope is known as an offensive coach, but Kentucky has done a tremendous job specifically against Tennessee. Tennessee in those 2 games, both Kentucky wins, was 14 of 61 from 3. That's 23%. And if there is one Achilles heel for a Tennessee team the last couple of years, they've been defensively dynamic, but they've been too reliant on one sweet shooting forward. A year ago was Dalton Connect, and that dude could stroke it. This year is Chaz Lanier. And if he gets off to a great start, he's not afraid to put 28 up in the first half. But the rest of them can go 8 minutes without scoring. And that's just not a recipe for – you're going to blink your eyes against teams of this ilk, of this talent level. And in these pressure moments, as that rim shrinks, I love Kentucky outright, but I really love Kentucky with the points. And I mean, you mentioned it earlier. It's tough to beat a team 3 times, and that's true. But you also have to realize everybody on the floor knows who won the previous 2. And
yes,
let's not undersell the fact that place will be 60% blue.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because obviously we're going to have a ton of Purdue fans there. But, I mean, I think we might have more. So they haven't been in the Sweet 16 since 2019. And
right.
It's not that far to get to Indy. I mean, and it wouldn't matter where they're playing. They're going to have a ton of fans. I mean, I think they'll have as many as Purdue does, if not more. Maybe more.
And I think Purdue will cheer for Kentucky before they cheer for Tennessee.
Who would you cheer for? Well, whoever you had money on.
I'm cheering for Auburn and whatever team I have money on. And Ole Miss, because I want Michigan State to get bounced. But in this regard, who do you think's a better coach, Mark Pope or Rick Barnes?
Can I answer it specific to March? Because if so, it's Mark Pope. If it's just overall, it's Push or Rick Barnes. But
in Rick Barnes in that regard, he's Matt Ryan. He's a compiler.
Yeah. But Matt Ryan had some good playoff moments. I mean,
he's Phillip Rivers. He's Phillip Rivers.
Okay, that'll work. So you were talking about the 6-minute droughts with Tennessee, and
right. I
mean, it happened in that round of 32 game with Michigan. That may have been 3 years ago now. I'm pretty sure Ziegler was playing though. And I had Tennessee like -4 or 5, and they're up by like 6-12 the whole second half on Michigan. And then at about the 7-minute mark, they couldn't throw it in the ocean the rest of the way. And not only did they not cover, Michigan came back and won. And it's just, you expect that from Tennessee this time of year. And it's just crazy how it happens. Now, last year, it did not happen. And I think it was more their defense and Creighton in the Sweet 16 not making much. But so Rick Barnes, who, again, has had a storied career, one of the best defensive coaches ever. So he's been in 8 Sweet 16 games. He's only 4-4, and he's 1-2 at Tennessee. And, the one win being over Creighton in the Sweet 16 last year. But they just normally fold this time of year, and they have never been to a Final Four. They've never been to a Final Four. When they get to the second weekend, they fold offensively at some point. And I think it's going to happen to them again in this game. Let me give you a stat. So obviously I like Kentucky, as does Jay. They have been underdogs 12 times this season, 8-4 against the spread, with 7 outright wins. And there are some big time scalps among those outright wins as underdogs, including beating the Gators, obviously beating Illinois last week. And they also, the two wins over Tennessee. But then you go back, you go back into the non-conference. They beat Duke as a 5.5 point dog. They beat Gonzaga as a 6-point dog. So they've had some pretty big time wins as underdogs this year, and they're looking to get another one. And I think they're gonna.
I got one more point. I got one more point on this. Not only did Kentucky go 2-0, Lamont Butler only played one of those games, and he was limited to 22 minutes. And a lot of what Tennessee likes to do, Tennessee beat Auburn because Zakai Ziegler almost erased Tahad Pettiford from existence and limited Denver Jones and was effective offensively. Lamont Butler is a bigger version of Zakai Ziegler. He may not be as quick, but he's a defensive menace, and he's going to protect the basketball, which neutralizes what is almost a game-in, game-out strength for the Tennessee defense.
Yeah, you look at Butler, whatever they shot his shoulder up with last Sunday, they need to use that exact same cocktail remedy.
It's called the Brady Cook ankle tranquilizer.
Oh my God, he still hasn't let it go, y'all. He still has not let Brady Cook go yet. It's still there. It's still there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So Butler played 33 minutes last week, 4 of 5 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 4 of 5 from the free throw line, 14 points, 5 assists, 3 steals. If they can get that kind of production out of him, they're loving it. They're loving it. We both like Kentucky. Anything else?
I'm good.
Yeah. Go Cats. Go Cats.